Process view of supply chain management. Now we will see contents of this presentation. First we will see introduction, then stages in SCM, why there is a need for supply chain management, objectives already we have seen but still we will repeat in this lecture. Process view, what is process view? Cycle view, what is difference between process view and cycle view? Most important is push-pull view of supply chain management, the difference between push and pull, fundamental difference we will see. Then we will concentrate on push system, we will see pull system and its use in supply chain. Now we will start one by one. Introduction. A supply chain consists of all parties involved directly or indirectly in fulfilling a customer request. The supply chain not only includes the manufacturer and the supplier but also transporters, warehouse, retailers and customers themselves. Within each organization such as a manufacturer, supply chain includes all the functions involved in receiving and filling a customer request. Typical supply chain involves variety of stages. Now we will see different stages of supply chain management. So these are supply chain stages. Supply chain start with customer, and customer orders to the retailer, and retailer takes the material from the wholesaler or distributor. Then distributor gives order to manufacturer. Manufacturer manufactures the goods by taking the raw material from the supplier. So this is a simple supply chain. Why there is a need for supply chain management? Many companies have turned increasingly to global source for their supply. This globalization of supply management has forced companies to look for more effective ways to coordinate the flow of materials. Companies and distribution channels compete more today on the basis of time and quality. Defect-free product to the customer faster and more reliable than the competition. Customer demand product consistently, delivered faster, exactly on time and with no damage. Each of these necessity closer coordination with supplier and distributor is required. The global orientation and increased performance-based competition combined with rapidly changing technology and economic conditions, these all contributes to marketplace uncertainty. This uncertainty requires greater flexibility on the part of individual companies and distribution channels, which in turn demand more flexibility in channel relationships. So all these factors have made a concept of supply chain management more important to various companies. What are the objectives of supply chain management? The objective of every supply chain is to maximize the overall value generated. The value a supply chain generates is the difference between what the final product is worth to the customer and the cost of supply chain incurs in filling the customer requests. For most commercial supply chains, value will be strongly correlated with supply chain profitability. What is profitability? Profitability means the difference between the revenue generated from the customer and the overall cost across the supply chain. So now we have to see process view. First of all, let me give you a quick summary of cycle view of supply chain. There are two different ways to view the process performed in supply chain. Process view a supply chain. The supply chain process occurs in two ways, cycle view and push-pull view. The process view in supply chain are divided into a series of cycles, each performed in the interface between two successive stages of supply chain. So cycle view of supply chain process includes cycle view and second is push-pull view. Process view of a supply chain includes cycle view and push-pull view. What is cycle view? Processes in supply chain are divided into a series of cycles, each performed at the interface between two successive supply chain stages. Means this cycle occurs between two supply chain partners. Then second is push-pull view. Push-pull view processes in supply chain are divided into two categories depending on whether they are executed in response to a customer order, that is called as pull, or in anticipation to customer order, that is called as push. Now we will see one by one. First we will see cycle view. Process in supply chain divided in series of cycles, each performed at the interface between two successive stages of supply chain. All supply chain processes can be broken down into following four process cycles. First is each cycle occur at the interface between two successive stages. First is customer order cycle between customer and retailer, replenishment cycle between retailer and distributor, manufacturing cycle occurs between distributor and manufacturer, and last procurement cycle is taken place between manufacturer and supplier. Cycle view clearly defines the processes involved and the owners of each process, specifies the roles and responsibilities of each member and the desired outcome of each process. So each cycle occurs at the interface between two successive stages of the supply chain. Not every supply chain will have all 4 cycles separated. We will take an example, a grocery supply chain in which a retailer stock finished goods inventories, replenishment orders. Replenishment means what? Repeat orders, which a distributor is likely to have all 4 cycles separated. A cycle view of supply chain is very useful when considering operational decisions because it clearly specifies the rules and responsibility of each member of the supply chain. The cycle view of supply chain is useful for, we take example, when setting up an information system to support supply chain operations. As a process ownership and objectives are clearly defined. When we install a ERP or any software, then these separate systems are useful. Now we will see these cycles one by one. First is customer order cycle. This is very important cycle because customers are giving order. The customer order cycle occurs at the customer retailer interface and includes all processes directly involved in receiving and filling the customer order. The customer initiates the cycle at a retailer site and the cycle primarily involving customer demand. It occurs in between customer and retailer. The retailer's interaction with the customer starts when the customer arrives or contact is initiated and ends when the customer receives the order. So this is a simple customer order cycle taken place between customer and retailer. Second is replenishment cycle. The replenishment cycle occurs at the retailer and distributor interface and include all process involved in replenishing retailer inventory. It is initiated when the retailer places an order to replenish inventories to meet future demands. When retailer gives order, then it will happen. A replenishment cycle may be triggered at a supermarket that is running out of stock or low stock of particular item. The replenishment cycle is similar to the customer order cycle, except that the retailer is now the customer, means it happens between retailer and distributor. The objective of replenishment cycle is to replenish inventories at the retailer at minimum cost while providing high product availability. Next cycle is manufacturing cycle, or you can say production cycle. Manufacturing cycle occurs at the distributor manufacturer interface and includes all processes involved in replenishing distributor or retailer inventory. Manufacturing cycle view of supply chain is triggered by customer orders, replenishment orders from the retailer or distributor, or by the forecast of customer demand, current product availability in the manufacturer's finished goods. So this cycle occurs at the distributor and manufacturer interface. Last cycle is procurement cycle. The procurement cycle occurs at the manufacturer and supplier interface, includes all processes necessary to ensure that materials are available for manufacturing, that all occur according to schedule. During this procurement cycle, the manufacturer orders components from supplier that replenish the components of inventories. The relation is quite similar to that between distributor and manufacturer, with one significant difference. The retailer distributor orders are triggered by uncertain customer demands. These component orders can be determined precisely once the manufacturer has decided what the production schedule will be. So the component order depends upon the production schedule. This is important that suppliers be linked to the manufacturer's production schedule. So there should be a linkage between manufacturer and supplier. If a supplier lead times are long, the supplier has to produce forecast because the manufacturer's production schedule may not be fixed. So in practice, production is a stepwise process. A similar cycle would then flow back from one stage to the next stage. So these are the 4 cycles. Now we will see push and pull view of supply chain. First we have seen cyclic view, and now we will see push-pull view. The process in supply chain are dividing into 2 categories depending on whether they are executed in response to a customer order or in anticipation of customer orders. So pull process are initiated by customer order, whereas push process are initiated and performed in anticipation of customer orders. Now we will see definition of push strategy and pull strategy. First we will see push strategy. When an organization manufactures the product and then moves it down in the supply chain. Down in the supply chain means warehouse, distributor, etc. Based upon some assumed sale, that is forecast for a period or expected order booking into the period. And pull strategy means when an organization manufactures the product as per the consumption in the market or based upon the firm orders from the market. So what is the difference between push and pull? Now we will see the fundamental difference of push and pull. The push strategy is based upon the forecast. Forecasting for unknown future might lead to mismatch in stock or stock in hand. and the incoming orders. Times might differ from forecast. The longer the horizon of forecast, the more inaccurate it becomes due to the interface of multiple uncertainties of the given environment. So there are two elements of the inaccuracy in the forecast. One, the underlying uncertainty of the future. Other aspect is the human error in prediction. So which is mostly a judgment or call based on individual experience. This is the root of the confusion in supply chain, which leads to surplus and shortage of various nodes in the supply chain. So pull strategy resolves this conflict by reducing the horizon of forecast and taking out the human error by only supplying what is consumed by the market and nothing less or more. So thereby avoiding the shortage and surplus issue in the supply chain. Find out this difference, we have to first understand the supply chain. So push and pull strategies both work within the supply chain. A supply chain has 5 different steps. Products start out as a raw material. In the second step, the manufacturer takes the raw material and turns them into product. Third step occurs when finished products get shipped to the distribution. Step 4 is what? The distribution facility uses the products to stock as a retail store. In the case of e-commerce business, fulfillment center. In the final step, the products get delivered to the hands of the consumer. Push-pull system of inventory control. The push system of inventory control involves forecasting inventory needs to meet customer demand. Companies must predict which product customer will purchase along with determining what quantity of goods will be purchased. The company will produce enough product to meet the forecast demand and sell or push the goods to the consumer. Push system occurs between retailer to supplier. So what are the disadvantages of push system? Disadvantages of push inventory control systems are the forecasts are often inaccurate of sales and can be unpredictable and vary from one year to the next year. But the advantage is that the company is fairly assured it will have enough product on hand to complete the customer orders. Now we'll see pull system of inventory control. The pull inventory control system begins with customer order. With this strategy, companies only make enough product to fill customer orders. Advantages of this system is that there will be no excess of inventory that needs to be stored, thus reducing inventory levels and the cost carrying the storing goods. So we can take example of full inventory control system is JIT, just in time. The goal is to keep inventory levels to a minimum by only having enough inventory, not more or less, to meet customer demand. The JIT system eliminates waste by reducing the amount of storage space needed for inventory. The disadvantage of the pull system is that it is likely that a company will run into ordering problems, such as supplier not being able to get shipment on time. Now we will see push and pull system. Some companies have come up with a strategy called the push-pull inventory control system, which combines the best of both the push and pull strategies. Push-pull is also known as lean inventory strategy. It demands a more accurate forecast of sales and adjusts inventory levels based upon actual sale of goods. Goal of stabilization of supply chain and the reduction of product shortage, which can cause customer to go elsewhere in market their product. With the push-pull inventory control system, planners use sophisticated system to develop guidelines for addressing short and long-term production needs. So we have to choosing the right system between push and pull. The pull and pull system, you can see the figure. The pull and pull system is the supply chain process. There are two views, push and pull. This system determines when to respond to customer order with minimum supply chain cost. Processes in pull systems are executed when customer order arrives at the retailer. The retailers then fulfill the orders based upon actual demand. In basic terms, the customer pulls inventory from the retailer's shelf, while the push system does the opposite. Processes are executed in response to forecast and speculation based on demand signal. Pull system is suited for make-to-order products because customers are willing to wait to get the goods. The company may not have to stock inventory because it responds to actual demand rather than the forecast. Pull system is usually applied to lean operations. On the contrary, the push system works well with make-to-order products because the manufacturer needs to maintain the required service level in response to demand function. So now we will conclude our presentation. A cycle view of supply chain clearly defines the processes involved and the owner of each process. This view is very useful when considering operation decisions because it specifies the roles and responsibility of each member of the supply chain and the desired outcome for each process. Push-pull view of supply chain processes fall into one of two categories depending upon their timing of their execution relative to customer demand. In pull strategy, execution is initiated in the response to the customer order, and in push strategy, execution is initiated in anticipation of customer orders.